Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source, quality, affordable land in the state of, yes, Arizona. We are finally buying and selling in Arizona. I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about the properties we're going to be discussing in today's video because they are part of the Grand Canyon subdivision, which, as you imagine, sits very close to the Grand Canyon, as we write there in the headline. Additionally, these properties are also RV friendly, which of course is something that a lot of our buyers are looking for. So there's a lot to like about this land. Quick thing that I do want to say at the outset of this video is that the video you're watching right now is going to be a subdivision specific video. As of today, we're going to be listing 4 lots out here. My suspicion is, depending on how these sell, and I anticipate they will sell well, we will have more in the future. So in the interest of efficiency, I am making one video, which from now until the end of time will be posted on each of those properties listing pages. Fortunately for you guys, a lot of the details of these properties are largely interchangeable. Acreage will probably always be different. Price will probably always be different. But property-specific notes, of course, will be included down here on each of these listing pages. If there is anything specific, anything super particular you need to be aware of about a property, it will be described there. Number 1, number 2, guys, down here at the bottom of the page, we will, as always, have photos from the specific property, as well as plat maps, Google Earth imagery, so on and so forth. So that would be the best way to compare and contrast lots within the subdivision when we do have them available. All right. So with all that said, let's get started. These properties are located, guys, in Coconino County, Arizona, up there in north central Arizona. The one that I've got pulled up here on the listing page is a 1-acre property, which you saw up top. It's priced at $7,000. My suspicion is the price points are going to graduate from 1 acre, roughly $7,000 to we've got roughly about a 5-acre property going live for $22,000. So you should anticipate that that's probably the range. That's probably how those things are going to graduate over time. Additionally, guys, it should be noted, as I mentioned earlier, these are in the Grand Canyon subdivision. Some county maps call this the Grand Canyon subdivision. Some call it Grand Canyon Estates. That being said, please do not be confused. The land is not located in the Grand Canyon, okay? Anyway, with that said, guys, let's pull one of these up on a map. As with all of our listing pages, we've got GPS coordinates. Click any one of them, and voila, onto the Google Maps shall appear the property. First off, as always, guys, I like to acclimate you as to where we are in the state. As noted, these properties are up here in Coconino County, which is up here in the north central part of the state. It is a massive county. It occupies more space than I think 9 or 10 states have total acreage within their boundaries, within their borders. Nonetheless, massive piece of land up here in Coconino County. The subject property located roughly about an hour north of Flagstaff right here, but there's actually, it's in close proximity to a number of things up here. As you can see, you are just sort of north of the I-40 corridor, so you're relatively close to both Winslow and Flagstaff over here, Sedona down here, Williams, Arizona over here, Ash Fork, Seligman, so on and so forth. Additionally, it should be noted, guys, the big selling point, of course, is that these properties sit within very close proximity to the Grand Canyon itself. How close are they? Roughly about a 30-minute drive time. Grand Canyon about 30 minutes north of the subject properties. Now, before I talk about the subdivision, let me just say this. In my research of Coconino County, when I was getting into this, I was surprised at exactly how many great things there are out here aside from the Grand Canyon. Everybody knows the Grand Canyon, but the sheer sort of breadth and depth of other things to do and see and explore out here is quite impressive. We have sort of each of these talked about on the listing page here. We have a paragraph about sites to see, things to do, things to explore, along with sort of points of interest down here with links to various websites. A couple of them that I just want to bring to your attention, aside from the Grand Canyon, you also have out here Lake Powell. You have Glen Canyon, which is very close by. You've got forests out here, both Coconino National Forest as well as the Kaibab National Forest. That's 1.8 and 1.6 million acres respectively with those two forests. So plenty of opportunity for hiking, camping, picnicking, hunting, of course, so on and so forth. And additionally, the Arizona Snow Bowl, great places to ski up in this region of the state, very close to where the subject property is located. This is a part of Arizona that actually experiences 4 seasons, and having a ski resort nearby is part of that. Anyway, aside from that, Plenty of other great places to see and explore within this region. We've got them all listed here. The National Monument, I can't pronounce, Wapatki, I'm assuming. Sunset Crater, Walnut Canyon, the Lowell Observatory, the Arboretum at Flagstaff, the Meteor Crater, Slide Rock State Park. The list goes on and on. The point is, guys, if you're not familiar with this region, I would encourage you just look over the list because it's a daunting list. You don't realize exactly how much there is to do out here, but it's certainly one of the major drawing points, one of the major appeals of property in this region. All right, blah, blah, blah. So with that said, let's talk about the subdivision itself. If you zoom in on the map, you will begin to see this carved out area right here that's appearing more and more as we get closer. Anyway, you've got US Highway 180 right here, and you've got Route 64 right here, and all of the land that you see carved out here, a lot of it's sitting north of the 180. This is the Grand Canyon subdivision. There's also some land down here south of the 180. All of it, pretty much all of it, is to the east of the 64. Some parts of the subdivision do actually extend a little bit west. We've got some land out there as well. Whatever the case, this is the subdivision. Now, quick thing, guys. If you zoom in on these maps, you will never, ever, ever see plat maps. You'll never see the plat overlay here on the road. So I do want to just bring your attention that in the photo galleries on these pages, we actually have the, number one, the Google Earth overlay to give you a sense of the size, shape, general location of the property, as well as, of course, the plat maps, both the larger version and then the zoomed in version, just to give you a sense of where the property is that you're purchasing and exactly how it's shaped and so on and so forth. Anyway, now a couple things to note here within this region, guys. So as noted, you're about 30 minutes south of the Grand Canyon down here. Nearest towns, let's talk about nearest towns. So I rattled off a list of them that are here within the I-40 corridor. First off, you've got Valle. Valle, I think is how it's pronounced, V-A-L-L-E, which sits right here. Let me go to satellite view, which sits right here pretty close to where all these subject properties are. This is not a major town. You've got some groceries. You've got some convenience stores out here. Actually, if we kind of zoom in on the highway here, you can see exactly what's available out here. Not a lot, but if you're living in the subdivision, you need access to some quick groceries, some quick supplies. Obviously, you've got some grocery stores out here that will be able to accommodate that sort of thing, but not a lot else going on in this region. So as far as major towns, as far as what's closest to this, if we pull back on the map, Williams is about 45 minutes south of the subject property, Williams, Arizona. Hang on. Williams, Arizona down here. That being said, the county seat of Flagstaff is right over here, roughly about, what is it? I'm looking at my notes. Roughly about 1 hour south of the subject properties down here. And of course, in Flagstaff, you're going to be able to find any kind of groceries, big box stores, any kind of supplies that you need. Of course, they have Walmarts, they have Super Walmarts, they have Targets, Home Depots. This is a town of 72,000 people, so as you can imagine, anything you want as far as groceries and supplies, or even dining, shopping, nightlife, churches, schools, medical facilities, so on and so forth, that's all going to be available here. Hey, there's the Walmart, etc. Normally we like to get our photographer to get pictures of these towns. He did not have that opportunity this time, so unfortunately they're not included in the photo gallery. Perhaps in the future we will add them to the photo gallery. But the point is, there's a lot to do and see out here. Everybody's heard of Flagstaff, and it sits roughly about an hour south of the subject properties. So the point is, if you do choose to develop the property, if you do choose to build out here, most likely you're driving into Flagstaff, going to the Home Depot out here to get whatever building supplies, whatever tools or equipment you need to help develop the structure that's out here. So just FYI, it's a little bit of a drive, not too bad. Anyway, let's go to some photos of the properties. I want to show you guys some things here. Number one, as you saw on the plat map, it's a kind of a large subdivision. It's got numerous points of ingress and egress, many ways in and out of this place. A lot of them, what our photographer discovered, have gates. Now, fortunately, all of these gates are unlocked. Some of the gates are closed. All you have to do is open them, but the point is they're unlocked. So this is one of these regions where we like to say the gates are meant to keep the cows in, not keep the people out. I don't know if there's actually cows out here, but you get the point, guys. Okay, if people have livestock, that's what the purposes of the gates are. So point being, easy access within the subdivision. If you do happen to run into a gate that is locked out here, my suspicion, because I've seen this in other subdivisions, is if you just drive up the road, whatever, 50 feet or something, couple, 100 yards, you'll find another gate that's unlocked, okay? But anyway, the particular property that I'm talking about right now, this is what the entrance looked like here with the cattle guard and the fencing that our photographer had to kind of pull back and then reestablish there. Anyway, in the photos, of course, you can see there's some developed home sites out here. Actually, if you go back to Google Maps and you kind of zoom in on the satellite view out here, you will find some developed home sites in this region. Here's one over here. Here's another out here. One's closer to the highway, particularly up here by Valet, is where you will see more developed home sites. But a lot of this area is unsettled, so of course there's great opportunity for privacy out here. Of course, this particular lot that we're showing you, where is it at? There it is. This particular one that we're showing you just happens to have a neighbor a couple lots over. It looks like they're utilizing solar panels here in the one photo. Anyway, another thing that stands out about these properties that you guys should be aware of is that if you're really close to the highway, to the 180 or to Route 64, you're going to have power running along the highway. That being said, power does not really go into the subdivision. We don't see many instances of it. I found a few on the map, but not a lot. So point being, you should anticipate that if you're going to be developing a property out here, most likely you're going to be using solar or some alternative source of energy for the property. Maybe you can talk to the local utility company about getting power extended out to the land. If you've got some money to spend on that sort of thing, they are the entity to talk to about that. But I think most people should anticipate utilizing solar. I'm pausing on this photo here just to show you there's a property boundary marker out here at this one property. I think at pretty much all of them, our photographer discovered some kind of property boundary marker. I am not selling these properties to you as if they're already surveyed and staked. Typically, what you will find with subdivisions like this, somebody came in, 30, 40 years ago, staked the whole thing. Can you still find those stakes? Are they overgrown? Were some pulled out? It's hard to say. It's a case-by-case basis. So you should not anticipate that the entire property is staked. You might need to get it surveyed. And that may be something, if that's a concern to you, maybe go out and scout the property in advance to see if you can, take a metal detector out here and find these things. Some of them, of course, are easier to find than others. Some of them are larger than others, but this is evidence that at least one does exist on this particular property. Anyway, of course, the other takeaway from this is that this is a beautiful, picturesque region up here with a lot of flat land. We like to point out flat land in these videos because that's usually the easiest to develop, the easiest to kind of come in and landscape a little bit, whether you're, parking a camper there for some period of time, or you're camping, or you're actually building a home site. Obviously, it's a lot easier on terrain like this. You can also see some kind of fencing right here. Generally speaking, these properties, as they run along the highway, which this one is very close to, there's fencing along the highway. But fencing throughout the subdivision is not common unless one of your neighbors has a developed lot. Anyway, with all that said, guys, I will let you explore the photo gallery on your own time. Of course, you will see in these that, again, beautiful region out here, really, really pretty. And you can also see some developed home sites off in the distance, but for the most part, you've got a lot of privacy, a lot of room to yourself, okay? Anyway, with all that said, let's talk about some zoning issues. So first off, these properties, there's no HOA, there's no annual dues, there's no covenants and restrictions, and that's all great, that's all fantastic. That means that there's a lot more independence and freedom that you can have to develop the land as you see fit. That being said, Coconino County is not a county without a zoning ordinance. It actually has a quite detailed one. And this region is zoned as AR, agricultural residential. So guys, I'm directing your attention up here to these bullet points, which have to do with this. The first one really just talks about what I just said, no HOA, no annual dues. But this one starts to get into the AR definition. And if you click this link right here, it's going to take you to, it's an excerpt from the zoning PDF, which we have out here. So I've titled this property RV friendly, right? And a lot of people kind of throw around this term of RV friendly because, well, theoretically, you can park an RV out there. Practically speaking, a lot of counties have different things to say about that sort of thing. So we like to kind of provide as evidence here, at the very least, the counties, what they say about this sort of thing, number one. Number two, the time limits on it, what kind of permits you need for it. And Coconino actually does a good job of making a pretty detailed zoning PDF. So this is a 9-page excerpt, and of course the relevant parts here are AR, agricultural residential zone. You can read over this. And then it also kind of points out the P and C of these zones. So agricultural residential is right here. It's the center column, okay? And P means that you can get a permitted use for something on the property, and C means there's a conditional use to it. Okay, so for instance, single-family dwellings, no one is ever going to argue with you about that. You want to build a single-family residence out somewhere and become a taxpayer of the county, that's permitted, that's fine, right? But when it comes to things like travel trailers or park models, those are usually conditional permits. Now, what, you're asking, are the conditions? Well, fortunately, guys, if you scroll down here within the PDF, you will come to, on this page, I think it's 5 of the thing, 5 of our PDF. Points 4, 5, and 6 are the kind of things that all of our buyers always look for. We always get questions, can I park an RV? Can I camp? If so, for how long? So on and so forth. Points 4, 5, and 6 cover that. So let me quickly go through these, okay? In the AR zone, the establishment of a pre-HUD mobile home, don't fall asleep on me, people, may be permitted subject to the rehabilitation of that unit in accordance with the Arizona Office of Manufactured Housing. This is usually a quick way of saying, this is usually a way of saying that as long as the thing is no more than 5 years old or is in, relatively good shape, you're not going to have to worry about it, but you might need to get it rehabbed. Whatever the case. Mobile homes shall not be relocated and placed on site prior to renovation and rehabilitation as provided by this ordinance. So basically, you need this authority to kind of look at it and go, yeah, okay, it's good, you can live in it. That's number one. Number two, a travel trailer or fifth wheel trailer or park model, but not an RV, we'll get back to RVs in the next bullet point, that has its own motive power may be established as a permanent residence in the AR zone, subject to the granting of a conditional use permit. Establishment shall require the installation of a permanent wastewater disposal system and connection to appropriate utilities. So, if you do want to live out of a travel trailer, you can. Here's the only thing they want to know. How are you disposing of waste? Don't litter the area. Don't make it look bad, right? You're close to the Grand Canyon. You're in picturesque country out there. They want to make sure it remains beautiful. So how you're disposing of waste is a big thing. So you need to get a permit for that. And additionally, it helps if the structure is connected to some kind of utilities out there. And then finally, they get into the use of an RV. So this is what we're talking about when we say RV. In the AR zone, recreational vehicle or travel trailer per lot or parcel may be used for temporary residence not to exceed 100 days per year. 100 days per year is pretty good, guys. Okay, so that's what I consider RV friendly. If you could take the thing out at the start of summer and you don't have to leave till the end of summer, and you can take advantage of all these things that there are to explore and see in this region during that 100-day window, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty reasonable. So it goes on to say, the use of tents is prohibited as a temporary residence. Of course, if you got an RV out there, you can probably also have a tent. Portable or chemical toilets, blah, blah, blah. Temporary use permit shall be obtained prior to establishing said temporary residence, and the travel trailer or RV must be removed from the parcel upon the expiration of the temporary use permit. Now, 100 days, what happens on day 101? Does somebody from the county show up? I doubt it. It's a big county. I think they got a lot to do, and they don't have to worry about you and your RV. But nonetheless, that's how long the permit stipulates, so just an FYI. Anyway, guys, additionally, up here on the listing page, we also like to point out a couple other things. Number one, APS, Arizona Public Services. If you click this link, this is the power company that's servicing this region. From what I saw in my research, there's a handful of power companies out here. So perhaps you can shop around, find the best price. If you are looking to get power extended to the property, hey, I happen to be buying one where there's a power line roughly 2 or 3/10 of a mile away. Call these people up, talk to them logistically, cost-wise. What does it cost to get this thing extended? What do I need to know? Can I actually do it? Maybe I can afford it, and then I don't have to worry about solar power. Number one. Number two, guys, also in the table here, we also have the Arizona Department of Water Resources. If you want to get permitted for a well, if you want to get water rights for the property, this is going to be the government entity in Arizona you have to speak to. So if you click on this link, it will take you to their website. Hey, there it is, yes, where you can learn more about the permitting process, where you can call and you can talk to these people. They also have some references on here of well drillers that service local areas. This, of course, is a valuable resource because, you can talk to locals who actually drill wells out here for a living, and you can say, what is the cost per foot of drill depth? What is the water table like in this region? Is it even practical, or should I be hauling water? These are all good things to figure out in advance of the purchase. And additionally, guys, we mentioned the forests that are up here. We mentioned all the great hunting opportunities that are in this region. I didn't get into the species of animal you can hunt, but as we have enumerated here, elk, antelope, mule, white-tailed deer, bears, so on and so forth. Click this link right here. It's going to take you to the website for the Arizona Department of Game and Fish. This, of course, is where you can investigate, if you're not a resident of Arizona, if you're going to be moving there, how you get permitted, or how you get a license, I believe it is, I should say, for hunting or for fishing within the state. And you can also learn more about all the opportunities that are available to you in these various millions of acres of forestry that will be surrounding this property. Anyway, guys, finally, if this is something that you are interested in purchasing, just come up here, click the Buy Now button, and we'll take you to a secure checkout page. I'm pretty sure that for all of these listing pages, we're going to have a $500 earnest money deposit checkout. Being as the price points are going to, I believe, tend to start around $7,000, $500 seems the best way to go about that. Whatever the case, guys, take note. This is non-refundable. It's a non-refundable earnest money deposit, guys, okay? So don't put down the $500 unless you have the full purchase price. Whatever the case, we're going to ask you a couple questions. Name for deed, tax address, so on and so forth. Agree to the terms of service. Click next. And on the very next page, you can enter credit or debit card information to put down that $500. We will then contact you to figure out how exactly you want to fund and close this transaction. As always, guys, the property's under $10,000. We recommend that, just let us draft a new deed for you. We'll, write it up, convey it to the county, and you can pay the remainder with a credit card or a wire transfer or whatever you're comfortable with. And for properties over $10,000, we recommend title and escrow closing. And in case you want to learn more about either of those processes, we've got a page on our website called Buying From Us, How It Works, Buying From Us, and you can read through how that works. Now, of course, you, the buyer, you, the person with the gold, makes the rules. So if you want to buy a $20,000 property and pay with a credit card, or if you want to buy a $7,000 property and close through title, that's fine with us. I believe most of these properties will have been closed through a title company. Already, Pioneer is the one that we're using out there in Coconino County, and the listing pages will indicate on those property-specific notes I mentioned earlier which ones have already been closed and funded through a title company. If we've previously closed on it with a title company, or if we're closing on it this time, we will provide a warranty deed. If not, it'll be a special warranty deed. Anyway, guys, this page kind of differentiates what these two processes are like. Of course, both of them start off with an earnest money deposit. Just kind of show us that you're serious. Prove to us that you're a serious buyer, and we're going to begin doing whatever you want us to do after that, whether it's drafting a deed or drafting a sale purchase agreement to submit to a title company. And in case people, you know nothing about the title escrow process, or it's been a long time since you've gone through it, you can click this link. It's going to take you to a page on our website called Title Escrow FAQ. If you are curious about obtaining title insurance for the property, or even if you just want that additional peace of mind of giving your money to a third-party intermediary who's not going to give it to us until such a time as the property's been deeded into your name, it's always a safe way to go. But this page will kind of brief you on how that process works, and it'll answer pretty much every question we've ever gotten from someone about anything you would need to know within that process, okay? So anyway, with all that said, guys, some really great properties out here in a subdivision that I'm looking forward to buying and selling more of in the future. As I noted at the outset of the video, I anticipate, because of the location, because of the amenities, most notably the RV friendly, most notably the nearby hunting, skiing, so on and so forth, these are going to be popular. And if we continue to list more out here, well, I anticipate we'll be listing more out here. That's the short story long. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com, or leave a comment here on the YouTube. Thanks again for your attention spans, and we'll see you in the next video.